Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 211.
Yeah.
The tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. We don't have... I don't know. I feel like, we could talk about the same old stuff. There's not too much to talk about. We're going to bring up the limited amount of Red Wings talk there is. Matt and Mike, also super long days today. Matt's day started bright and early at 5 a.m. And Mike, all-day work meeting today, which means Matt couldn't fool around at all because he was on his webcam and,
on the webcam.
Yeah. So you gotta,
no.
You couldn't, look away. You had to be fully focused. No phones, no nothing. Chewy, what's going on, my man? Chewy here in the chat. Somebody help, chime in if you come along for the fun
Chewy?
Ride today.
Yeah, good to see you. Yeah,
so it was a long day today, and Matt didn't have. Usually, I take my lunch to start dialing in with the Red Wings community and figuring out if there's anything to talk about. Just no, zero energy today. I don't know if you guys can feel it.
We can feel it. Can you feel it?
Can you feel the no energy? But yeah, Matt's ready for bed. But we gotta make content for you guys. So that's what we're here for. Chewy's having a busy day today too. I even forgot, Mike. I forgot to pull in the slides, so I'm gonna just kind of ramble here as I pull those in. But Mike, how was your day today? It sounded like yours didn't go so great either.
Well, I just found out I'm not going to be making very much money this month. Same thing with my significant other. So it's been a trying day. But I'm gonna suck it up. I'm gonna drink one of these delicious cherry Cokes, and then I'm gonna try and stay up till 11 midnight, maybe even 1 o'clock, watching USA versus Canada. Woo! For the ladies.
I thought that was pretty funny that you lifted that to let us know you had a cherry Coke, because the way you spun that can around, I thought we were about to be introduced to a brand new version of Coca-Cola. I got what do they call this?
They're doing
cherry Coke. What do you think about that?
They're doing wild things with Coca-Cola these days. This one's cherry flavored. Look at that. It's in a pink can, and hold on, let me see.
And everything. Is that pink or a different color? We're both colorblind.
Yeah, we're the wrong two people to ask. You think that because we're brothers, one of us would be Mr. Glass and one of us would be Unbreakable. But unfortunately, we're both Mr. Glass, and neither of us can see color.
Yep. Mike, I just thought of this. Since we're so short on content, we do have a couple of things. You guys can see what this episode's called. Moritz Seider leads the midseason, and for podcast listeners, I'm about to do the air quotes here. The midseason vote, if I may, for Calder Trophy, and that's because it's not the actual voters. It was an experiment conducted by ESPN and Greg Wyshynski. We'll talk about. So we'll get into that in a second. But Mike,
yeah,
Detroit favorite, our boy, my boy, not your boy. I think I was more excited about this than anybody in our family. Mike, Matthew Stafford is a Super Bowl champion. 1 year removed, just over a year after ending that relationship with the Lions, Mike, he wins the Super Bowl. What to you? Because everybody knows I'm a Stafford slappy.
Yes.
I've been a huge Stafford fan since we drafted him. Mike, we had entire episodes dedicated to Stafford when this show used to be 75 and Woodward, and we would touch on all Detroit sports. So we know where I'm at. Mike,
it's true.
What for you? From the outside of Stafford slappydom, is this more embarrassing for the Lions or more of a heartwarming tale for Stafford? What's weighing the scale down?
I'm actually going to go with the third option because I think a lot of Lions fans, we feel vindicated. We've talked about a curse for years, for decades, as fathers would, have the Fox or CBS on a Sunday, and suddenly your little boy's like, "Oh, what's that called, Papa?" And it's, "Oh, that's football, son." And, "Oh, what's that team in the? Is it Korean blue? No, son. That's Hawaiian, Honolulu blue, actually. Should I like them? No, you shouldn't." But then they get attached, and it goes on generation to generation. Matt, unfortunately, probably a little teddy boy is probably going to get attached, and just never feels like it's going to pan out. And people are like, well, maybe they'll sell the team, and it makes way too much money to ever get sold. I don't know why you would ever get rid of that cash cow, no matter how indifferent you are. So, Matt, I think to see somebody we've given a lot of grief to for more than a decade of, it's his fault that we stink. I think we finally feel like, oh, see, it is true. We were right all along. It's just the Lion curse. And now he's left. And in 1 year, he's already a Super Bowl champion. And I've already heard the talking heads say, might be in the Hall of Fame now. And as weird as that might be to think about, he does have historically, relevant, high numbers, passing yards, touchdowns, and now he's got a championship. So, he's got more championships than, Dan Marino. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that Hall of Fame talk too, and I was like, yeah, I guess so. He's always been at the top of like all-time career statistics. He's always been breaking those records of like youngest guy to do this, youngest guy to do that. But this isn't, this isn't a Lions podcast, so I didn't want to dwell on it. I just know we're short on topics today.
No, I mean, is there a Red Wing equivalent of a guy who left and won, and we were really jealous of him?
I mean, we're the team that would take those guys on. We grew up.
I mean, besides so, like, Brett Hall and Robitaille and Hasek and
Chelios. Well, we played that game, right? Maybe we have to adjust the game. We played the game a couple of weeks ago. Like, is there someone on this team who could be the Stafford, where there's going to be this high of highs and low of lows, like people backing him to no end and people against him ever winning again. And I think we settled on Tyler Bertuzzi because I think Larkin would just be loved so much that, it wouldn't compare. But so what I'm saying is the game would change because now we're looking at this instead of just being like the reaction to Stafford winning was so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's on either end of the spectrum. It's
polarizing.
Thank you. You either love him or you hate him. And I think we want to get away from that and say, Mike, is there, because now this has happened to us and our Detroit sports fandom. We've had Justin leave us, Mr. Verlander, head on over to the Stros and win a World Series that year. And we've also had Stafford now leave. I can't think of a Piston off the top of my head. Always feels like Pistons are Pistons for life, or like they just don't find the success anywhere else, right? It's not like,
yeah, I mean, it's always like the same. It's always like the same four teams. Right now, it's like Warriors. Now it's going to be the Bucks. I do feel like in kind of a different way from Stafford, where you feel like your assessment was proven to hold sway was when Andre Drummond joined the Lakers on a minimum deal. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to be on the coattails of a championship team. And it was the first time LeBron was kicked out in the first round of the playoffs. So I was like, ha, no, see, Drummond does suck. We were right. Woo, I knew it.
Nailed
it. He brought his Drummond juju with him. But I know we want to reel it in a little bit for hockey, but it's a Detroit guy.
In there. Yeah. He's a big Stafford fan. He's happy for him. Gray Ford's here. What's up, my man Gray? He forgot about Verlander. That one, I was really thinking Verlander was coming back this year too. That was a bit of a stinker. But yeah, it's tough to look at now, right? And say, all right, 10, 12 years from now, Mike, is there a guy on this team that's going to up and leave? Because that's why we stopped the last episode. We stopped the conversation because it was getting so negative, because then you're looking at this team saying like, well, we're going to go another 10 years and never make, any leeway, when I think right now we could look at it and say there's definitely a plan. We're taking steps forward. So it's like a moot it's a moot point.
Well, like,
moot
look at it this
conversation.
way. Like, James Harden, literally, the basketball player, he's been traded on like 3 or 4 teams now the past year. And he went for Brooklyn playing with Kevin Durant. And he said, I can't do this. I just can't play with Kevin Durant anymore. Please trade me. So he pouted and whined to get the trades that he wanted. And Stafford, by God, he still showed up to work. And it seemed like he gave a crap playing for us. So I don't know if you can really hate the guy. I feel like he kind of went about business the right way. Even in the post-game interviews, they're asking him, man, remember last year you were a lion? Oh, now look at you. And he never went for the bait. He just said, oh, I just want to talk about these guys. I'm really proud of my teammates, and we did a good job. So he still had every opportunity to, deservedly throw this awful franchise under the bus, and he never did. So he's a better person.
Yeah, he definitely kept it to the fans, though. I think he'd always pivot that, and he's very appreciative. All right, so let's
do a little Red Wings here.
Yeah, let's talk about the Wing Days.
On the Red Wings rant, let's do a little Red Wings.
Before we get into the topic of the show, we want to talk about Filip Zadina and his performance so far. Mike, in the last game, so we've got 3 games now, right, in the books. In the middle game, we talked about how that first line, from an analytics perspective, after getting a goal from Filip Zadina, had one of its worst performances, again, from an analytics perspective. So you're talking about those opportunities put on that versus the opportunities you're giving up. And based on that statistic, wasn't so great. Mike, this was... we're right back at the top. Not only was the first line our best line of the game, Zadina ended up being our best player. Per 60, limiting opponent chances to 0.83 expected goals against, and putting up on the board per 60, 1.75 expected goals for. So, our boy ended up with a 67.86%, better than Lucas Raymond at 65, better than Dylan Larkin at 64. Our boy Mo Seider, who's going to be in a conversation in a second here, at 55.94%. So, what do these percentages mean for anybody new to the show? Again, that means we're putting up more chances than our opponent. That's where those numbers are coming from. Mike, we've been following it. We said we would make it a topic of the show, or a segment in every show, to kind of look at what Zadina's been doing on this first line. And we kind of measured it. We're measuring it a few different ways. We want to see the production of Zadina tick up. We want to make sure the production of the first line does not tick down. And then we want to make sure that Zadina's underlying, deep cut analytics continue on the same pace that they were at. So in that last game, we said they took a dip. But if we take a look back at those 3 games, your 4th best player from an expected goals for percentage on this team over those last 3 games, it's Filip Zadina. So everything seems to be moving right along. I think as long as the production keeps up, we know Dylan Larkin just, he can't help it. It's just rolling for him right now. This, again, we talked about in the last episode, is one of the best stretches of Dylan Larkin's career, from a point streak perspective, from a multiple points per game perspective. And having Filip Zadina with him, no matter if the points are scored on special teams or what's going on, if he's scoring on a line change, it doesn't matter. What you want to talk about is making sure that Dylan Larkin's production isn't just being completely hampered by a change on the first line. It's not. So our conclusion so far through 3 games, let it ride.
Pretty promising results. I mean, this is definitely a best case scenario where we would like Blashill to have difficult decisions when Verona comes back. Because I think Matt and you and I were in tandem that, when Verona comes back, it's our best goal scorer. Obviously, you put him back on the first line. But if Zadina, he's not just, being the equal to Larkin and Raymond. If he's actually having these games where, statistically, I know. All right. Like, sometimes we do have to throw in the eyeball test, right? With, obviously, Larkin is our best player. But if Zadina is, measuring points above. It's not like he's just bringing everybody down, a level with him. He's actually, still elevating the performance of the line. It would be nice to have tough decisions where you're like, man, maybe we do kind of let them marinate for a little while. And, Verana's still getting on his feet. Maybe we do put him, on the third line for a little while, let him get, his stamina back up, to what it needs to be for a full NHL game, and, kind of bring him along, let him season it a little bit, 10 minutes a game or so, and kind of see where we go from there. So, God, Zadina, I'd be so happy if he could make this a difficult decision. But yeah, I mean, obviously, again, contextually, this is still a very small sample size, but still encouraging.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring this up too, so everybody could take a peek, because Keith brought up there Larkin, 13th in the league scoring last I checked. Keith, thank you for that. I did not check that. I was keeping an eye on this point streak, so I appreciate you doing that for us. Like we talked about in the last episode, this is just getting juicier because it's another multi-point game for Larkin. 3 points starting going back to January 29th against Toronto, 2 goals and assists, then a goal and an assist against Anaheim, 1 assist against the Kings, goal and assist against Philly in that first game, 3 assists against Philly on the next game, including the assists they promised they would take away from Larkin. So who knows if that's going to change. But then another 2 points, goal and assist against Minnesota there. What do we have? 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 13 points there, Mike. 6 games. Very nice.
I know it doesn't mean anything because, we're not even like contending for a playoff spot. Not really. Not with the games in hand that Boston has, and we just don't have the depth. It's not like a realistic thing. But for some reason, don't you guys feel that kind of little swell of pride that it doesn't feel like we've had like a league leading scorer in ages? Arguably since, the Datsuk, Zetterberg, and Lidstrom days. It just doesn't feel like we've had somebody, in that upper echelon of NHL talent. And then even when we had Larkin, it was like, well, he's pretty good, but he gets like 60 points in an 80-game season. And now he's healthy. He's got capable line mates. And my God, he's scratching that, that glass ceiling there. And it looks like he's going to be getting into that top 10. So I don't know, again, you like to have a little positivity because we know we've been in the doldrums, for, a couple seasons in a row now. So kind of, hey, this team's, they're growing a little bit. Now we almost got like a real, we got a league leader now. Yeah, we got one of those. Yeah. What do you think of that, Ovechkin? Yeah. I don't know. Is that only over here? Is it only me?
No, I think we need things to live for. That was one of the things where I was getting mad at everyone kind of poo-pooing the Calder fights online. Like we would be making our arguments that it should be Raymond or Seider. And I was like, let people have their arguments, because if we take that away from them, then what are we doing? Then we're just watching these games and half of them are going to be losses. We aren't going to sneak into the playoffs. So what else is there? So give people give them their shot at just having some sort of argument. It's I don't know. We're at that point right now where you just just let us have it. Just go away. But another thing to point out too, with Larkin being 13th in the league here, according to Keith Dast, our man in the field. It was pointed out by Prashant, one of our friends of the show, been on a couple episodes. So that's how you're defined as a friend. Larkin is one of 5 players in the league that are in the that are measured in like the top 20 of expected goals, above a replacement and goals above a replacement. So that means you're in the top 20 of those 2 statistics where you're bringing more goals to your when compared to your replacement player. And I believe it was Dylan Larkin, Austin Matthews, Philip Forsberg, Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. If I got Forsberg wrong, let me know, everybody, because I feel like that might be the only one I got wrong. But definitely McDavid, Draisaitl, and Austin Matthews in that conversation right now. It's fun. There's nothing you want to take too much away from, because when you take a look at, you could just go back one season and see, even though Larkin wasn't healthy, I mean, it's not like the performance was at this level. We can go back 2 seasons and say that. So we need to see this extended for a long period. I think right now we're just really excited, and we can say, wow, if the trend continues to go up, we don't have just an elite center. I mean, you have an elite of elite kind of center. You have, I mean, if we're talking about him being in the advanced analytics section of Austin Matthews, where that caliber of player is talked about, you're not talking about elite. You're talking about franchise player. And he's our captain for sure. But when I talk about a franchise player, I mean the whole team is built around him. I can tell you right now, I don't know if I'd peg him as that player right now. I think right now I'm building this team around Moritz Seider. Your pick? Oh, you'd peg Dylan?
I wondered if you're going to let that go.
No, I totally did not catch that. You got me. So, I mean, it's not to say anything. I'm not trying to speak negatively of Dylan Larkin when I say that. I'm just saying from top of mind, you met me at a party and you're like, whole Red Wings team, who are you building this team around right now? And it sounds so silly, but like I want to build it around the younger guy. Can I say younger? I'm going to say younger. I mean, we know Dylan's still a spring chicken, but he does have the next big contract coming up. It's one of those things. I'm just saying. It's not like Larkin's like top 3 on that list. It's not bad. I'm just right. Am I wrong? Does anybody else agree with me? Am I crazy? Is everybody else building this team around Dylan Larkin and not a Moritz Seider? I must be crazy. Dylan Larkin's a very important piece. I'm just saying you're not and you want to build your team around a few different core players. I'm just saying if you sat down at a party and someone asked not who is the best player on this team, which arguably you could still say is Moritz Seider. I know I'm going all over the place right now. You can still arguably say Moritz Seider's the best player on this team, way better than Dylan Larkin. No problem.
Yeah.
Right?
I will say
when he said that. But,
I mean, we're not really used to it, like maybe our generation, right? We weren't really there for. Maybe you want to throw Datsuk in there and Zetterberg. I don't know, but to be there at the genesis of excellence, watch 20-year-old Mo Seider be the best player on the ice. Multiple games in a row. Like it's not a fluky thing, depending on the matchup. Like he's one of the best defensemen already, and he doesn't know shit. You don't know shit, kid. He's already this good. I don't know if you're building a team around him, but man, it sure feels like, you got 23 minutes a game where I feel pretty confident that there aren't going to be a lot of goals going in. So if we can just figure out the other 40 minutes, man, what a hockey team that could be.
See, Craig points out it takes more than one. So for anybody listening to the show, I can only reiterate so many times. So this will be my last time. I'm saying you're sitting down at a party. If your answer to that question is, well, let me tell you how hockey works, I'm walking away from you. 100%, Craig. I'm going to go back to the table full of Doritos and Cheetos, and I'm like, all right, Craig's not having fun with me. I'm picking Moritz Seider as that one guy. If you were asked to pick the one guy, that's who I'm picking. I didn't want this conversation to go in this direction. I just wanted to make that comment where it was like, does your franchise player change into Dylan Larkin? Obviously, if this point production continues, yes, that's your franchise player at this point. I'm just saying at the start of the season, we had nothing to point to for Dylan Larkin being that's who you're building. That's who you're building the team around. I'm not saying you're getting rid of him. I'm not saying he was on the trade block. I'm saying
Matt, what do you know?
Like the mindset for that question is different.
What do you know, Matt? What do you know?
Shut up. Get up.
What do you know about the trade block? Huh? What do you know over there?
Shut the fuck up. Oh, boy. All right. Now our episode's not clean anymore. I can't post it on Megaphone.
I know. I'd said like 3.
Craig, have fun with
cusses.
me. Please, Craig. Have fun with me. All right. Where are we?
I know we wanted to touch on Zadina. We wanted to touch on Larkin.
everybody but Seider, who's in the title of the episode.
Whew.
Mike, why we're bringing this up, Greg Wyshynski. Let's see what he did here. I just want to read this real quick. Went ahead, I'm going to call it a little experiment here. He's calling it the NHL Awards Watch for February. We've pulled a selection of professional hockey writers, voters, anonymously to get a sense of where the wind is blowing for the current leaders. And he mentions, Mike, your boy, he's so surprised and shocked that Trevor Zegras is not Rookie of the Year. He does throw out there, bear in mind, what is it? The PHWA votes for the Hart, Norris, Calder, Selke, Lady Bang. So that is going to be rather close.
So Zegras getting Hart votes, or?
Yeah. So what Greg's pointing out there is that he's not getting every Professional Hockey Writer Association voter here, because he did say he pulled a selection, but this would have you believe, when they do these polls and stuff for like the news, they pull a selection, a group of people that fit. I don't know why I'm explaining this. We're just saying that if the trend of picking a random selection of hockey writers results in the result we got, then maybe that's where this is leading. And the result, of course, me talking out of my ass right now, was Moritz Seider. And what I have on the screen right now is Moritz Seider's player card from JFresh, where he right now is at 94%, or I should say in the top 6% for projected WAR for this season. So, Mike, I we can pivot this conversation any which way you want. I want to take this as sort of like I don't know, I guess like a sigh of relief. Because I was just talking about how we get all angry and upset about, we want our players to win some awards, especially something like rookie voting, because we got to figure if there's some hope for this team, it's that we have good rookies coming our way. Now, what's the argument against this, Mike? There's so many guys that have won the Calder that don't pan out. I don't care. I want our boys, one of our boys, to win the Calder. So.
I do think it's kind of interesting at this projection of Seider being at a 94% win share above replacement. So for me, that means that there's 32 teams now that we have Seattle.
Yeah.
They each have about 6 defensemen. Mm-hmm. So that gives us 192 starting defensemen. We're not going taxi squad or, that 6th guy always gets scratched. Sorry, Osterley. Apologies to you.
Yeah.
And if you do that other 6% there, that little wiggle room there, that would mean that, there's roughly about 12 players or so kind of in the Mo Seider realm. And based on this 20-year-old boy amongst men, that actually checks out if you sort the NHL stats right now, just by points. Mo Seider's literally number 12. So, Matt, I don't know how these projections work, because for me, a projection means, based on what he's doing right now, this is what he's going to be doing in the future. And I would think that based on him being 20 and how he don't know shit, I feel like he's going to
Take it for the rest of the season where he'll land.
The rest of the season?
Yeah,
because a few of these, I just want to be sure, because a few of these I've seen where they took Larkin and they did projections, and then they factored in like his previous 2 years. And obviously he was injured. He was, not necessarily playing with, the greatest players that the NHL had to offer. And it felt like that factored into what his percentage was.
Right. So like normally JFresh has 3 years. We don't have 3 years. So that's why. So what you would say is like over the 3-year span with more weight to the most recent year, that's how you can figure out where that player ranks. Now for Mo, he doesn't have those 3 years. So you kind of just, you want to take that out of it, because basically he's cheating a little bit here. Right. I don't want you to look at it and say he's projected, like going forward, he's going to be in the top, like right now.
No, I would say, look at it. I want to look at it this way. No, I just want to put it in perspective this way, that it feels like 94%, dare I say it, is like the low end of where we think he could be. I mean, not low. I mean, like we're not talking like end of his career, when he's broken. But it's not like he's in his prime yet. He's not supposed to be there for like another 6 or 7 years. So I don't know if he's just going to be 100%. Matt, how high could this go?
Yeah, 100%.
He can just be.
He can't get to 101. But yeah, I think I know what you're saying. You're just saying like he's a rookie now. He's at 94% already, which is again suggesting he's in the top 6% of all defensemen in the league. So he should only go up. I think that's unfair. Like we just talked about Larkin. There's been ups and downs in his career so far. So yeah, but I mean, you're right? Statistically, based on players and where they hit their prime, Moritz Seider technically, or I shouldn't say technically, I should say again, I should be consistent. Statistically, it suggests that he's only going to get better. So, yeah, for him being 20 at 94%, it should only go up. But I don't know if that's a fair. I don't know if that's a fair assessment to make because we know it's not going to happen.
I mean, he could get bored. He might. You can't just expect guys to just always, be progressing and getting better and better. But
like he's going to have a season where he's playing with a significant injury too, right? Like he's
also going to have a season where he's not playing with De Keyser.
That's true. Like it will get better for that reason. But there's like a torn scrot in his future, something like that. So you got your torn scrot, that number might take a dip, just like Larkin's numbers when he wasn't healthy. So that was a quick Darren McCarty.
I know what it was, man. Come on, hear it. Oh,
found out a friend at work is good friends with the guy who does like the weekly podcast with Darren McCarty on Woodward Sports. He was like, I'm not sure if he was about to say, I could probably get Darren McCarty on your show. And I totally ruined. I was like, yeah, we might have already had him. And for our listeners, it's kind of an infamous little plot device in our every episode where we bring up our one-sided rivalry with Darren McCarty.
Not our favorite moment. No, in Red Wings Rant history.
Gotta throw out there, Chewy letting us know he just got his hoodie.
Hey, my dude.
If anybody wants to join Chewy, they're bodpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com. You just hit that shop button. Craig did come back on our side. Craig, thank you for having fun with me. Thank you for letting me spew my nonsense. But Craig does agree with us that Seider should be the vote for the Calder. However, this is one of those things where it's like, Mike, if you ask me right now, this sounds weird, but it is my daughter. You're going to say, who's the most beautiful girl in the world? I'm going to say my daughter. So I'd vote for Seider. I think everyone here except for Mike would vote for Seider for the Calder Trophy. And it's just good to know that the Professional Hockey Writers Association agrees with us. That's where my side.
That's you know what, Matt? I wouldn't expect anything less because they're a bunch of tone deaf old buffoons who don't ever want to see this league get off the ground.
Here's Mike, big brain in it. Oh boy, I'm gonna make Trevor Zegras.
You know what?
Calder Trophy winner.
We gotta turn this.
All the problems.
We gotta turn this league into a peacock.
Did you just say you got to turn it? Oh man, what a dumb thing to say.
We gotta turn this league into a peacock and let it fly. And we're not gonna let it fly if we're letting a smart defenseman make heady moves in a highlight reel for our sport. I'm sorry. It takes too much thought to really appreciate Seider. So, Matt, give me the razzle-dazzle of Zegras so we can finally sell this company to people to watch, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it is funny that Wyshynski put it like he's just dumbfounded that Zegras wasn't leading the way in votes. I think his quote in here, no one can match the hype machine or highlight reel. Honestly, I'll put it this way. Like, this just goes to show that the Red Wings need to do a better job of showing off that one-man penalty kill.
I also like guys with chips on their shoulder. So I wouldn't mind Seider and Raymond getting shut out and the Red Wings go 0-2.
All right, Chewy's adding his vote. But Chewy, we already
No, you
knew that you were
guys.
voting for Seider.
We're doing shoulder chips. Shoulder chips. Come on, everybody. Shoulder chips. Vote for Zegras.
The Wings have good luck with players. Falling second in the Calder voting. There you go. Bingo, bingo. Was that how many? Well, you couldn't have Fedorov and Lidstrom, right? Because they were both the same year. So is that? Do we have a second and third place? I can't recall off the top of my head how that even worked out. You know what? I'm not even going to look it up because we have one more topic, and then Matt wants to go to bed. Yeah, again, anybody who missed the beginning of the show, Matt had a long day, and he's ready for bed.
What was our last topic today?
Well, we got the Ranges coming up. You know what's funny? I'm about to check and make sure that's correct because Matt is that tired. So I did pull up. I pulled up from Jay Fresh.
We have New York tomorrow in New York. Yeah, this was a big Matt. They're trying to tout this game, but Lafreniere is just not scoring enough for that to work. So it's Lucas Raymond versus Lafreniere.
So we used this tool, Mike. The last time we used it was to predict 2 easy wins against the Flyers. The second one was a little bit harder to come by, but I would still say there's enough here for us to make a proper assessment, the same way that we were able to predict a couple of wins against the Flyers. We predicted back to us, I gotta say, I'm not patting us on the back. I'm saying that this is a good tool. I'm not saying, oh man, we did a good job. We basically looked at this table and said, yeah, this makes sense. We have enough. We're crossing off enough boxes here. We're checking off enough boxes that we should win these games easily. Now, talking about this Rangers game, Mike. What we're talking about with these team comparison tools from Jay Fresh. Somebody pointed out too on Twitter that he just steals all this data from different websites, but he charges people for his tables. Jay Fresh, friend of the show, but I did laugh a little bit where it's like, yeah, I guess you guys just got to steal everybody else's data and selling it the second time. It'd be hilarious if he was a regular listener and it never comes back on. No. Anyways, where were we?
I think we were going over
for or what? I'm not going to read through this list. Let's just do this, Mike. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 thingies that we're comparing the Wings and the Rangers against each other. Rangers have 6 thingies. They have what?
You don't want to get too technical, man.
I'm sleepy. I said I was sleepy. We have 6 what? What do we want to call these?
Shabiggle bagels.
I blew this up for anybody adding comments right now because I can't read it because I'm so tired. So this took up my whole screen. Statistics. We'll just call it.
I'm gonna say looks like we're in a little trouble goaltending wise. Igor is rocking the balls over in New York. Let me tell you.
Yes, that was so. You kind of took the whole plot here away from me, the whole idea I wanted to go through, because you could make the argument here we're pretty even if the Red Wings aren't better from 5-on-5, both expected and actual finish here. But the Rangers have a great power play and great goaltending is pretty much where this is all going to land. You could make the argument too, right? With their defensive statistics for 5-on-5 goals against, this is just right in line with how good the goaltending is because their expected goals against is just about as terrible as ours. So this is a game that's going to come down to, is Ned going to give us Ned from January moving back, or are we going to get February Ned?
As much as a few of us like to joke on the show about, the ineptitude of Grice. Ever since Grice went down, it kind of feels like Ned's also gone down because it doesn't feel like he's gotten that break every couple games. So I've been seeing a lot of reports that he's kind of worn out and wouldn't mind like a day or two off. But
we had Grice in, was that game 1 or game 2 against Philly? One of those games.
Yeah, Matt, what I was going to throw out there is a trend that we've seen throughout this season
Yeah.
is we're pretty good at home, pretty raucous arena at Little Caesars, but on the road, not so much. And Matt, a phrase we've created on here is 500 team gonna 500. We're 22 and 6. Matt, our goal differential for the season, which has also kind of been an indicator of where we're gonna end up when we joke about a playoff push. Now the Rangers, they're doing pretty well, Matt. It's a pretty good hockey team over there. They're a plus 24 on the season. Wow, look at that. Red Wings, with 50 games played, still leading the league in games played. Matt, negative 30. Not very good. So I'm going to say that based on our being on the road, based on that goal differential, it doesn't bode well for our boys in red. And if you're going to go the old DraftKings way, Matt, put some money on the Rangers.
I mean, yeah, that's probably the smart route to go. I still say this is all just going to come down to goaltending. There is what was that article that came out of The Athletic where they interviewed different NHL executives, and one of them just really threw the stank at the Rangers, and they said that is not a team that is drawing any sort of blueprint. He's like, this is all goaltending. It's all puck luck. Ignore the Rangers. I thought that was pretty brutal. So with that, it's possible we could steal it, but Mike's playing this game correctly. If you're going to put money down somewhere, if you're going to look at this and figure out where the win's going to come from, whoopsies. It's been so hard to score against Igor. I just got to believe that the one thing that changes this is if Larkin continues his point streak and Bertuzzi the second line keeps rolling, because those guys score outside of what should be statistically happening, because they have those goals for above goals expected numbers that are just insane this year, where they're in the top 10 in the league. So there's on the road that works for the Wingdings. So yeah. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to go for the Wings and say that's the difference maker, that we have two guys that are already breaking statistics for goal scoring. So it's not like the Rangers can look at this and say, this is our, we're going to rip this game apart. We're going to put up 6-7 goals, which Minnesota just did. But I just, like, we know they don't have it. Like, this is going to be all about special teams. This is going to be all about goaltending. And for the Rangers, and if Larkin continues on a 5-on-5 pace, Bertuzzi continues on his 5-on-5 pace, Wingies they can take this one. They're a better 5-on-5 team than the Rangers. So let's keep this game 5-on-5. Red Wings get the win.
Matt, last prediction from you here. Does Lucas Raymond inspire Lafreniere and wake up the sleeping giant to finally start scoring? Or does Lucas say, first pick my ass, and dumps a hat trick all over the Rangers?
Yeah, I'd have to say it would go in that direction, right? Like, Lucas already seems like the inspired individual. I don't want to have a conversation about how Lucas Raymond's going to awaken Alexis Lafreniere. I don't want to that's a New York Rangers podcast conversation. I don't want to talk about that. It's so mean.
What do you mean?
Because I want him to stay being dog shit.
What do you mean? No, he's a guy. Let him have his career, and All right, well, screw him then. All right, go Red Wings.
Yeah, come on. I don't need Lafreniere to get points.
I'm not saying you want that to happen. It's just, is it going to happen?
Well, yeah, he's going to get a fucking hat trick. You happy? Just like fucking Boldy did. God. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. There.
All right, now I feel better. We got it on tape. Right. It's broadcast to the world. That's all I wanted.
Oh, that is going to be a great way to open the next episode if it actually happens. So you guys keep your fingers crossed that we're not handing out first hat tricks to Lafreniere. All right. This is 15 minutes. Arguably 25 minutes longer than I wanted this episode to be. So
that happens sometimes. We got all our topics in.
I got my dumb thing that'll keep me up at night. I get one of those in every episode where I worry that somebody's gonna comment and make me sad because I said Seider was my one player above Larkin, and now I'm a wreck about it.
You'll never
I'm
come
an
back from
absolute
that.
wreck.
You'll never come
Jimmy
back.
Johnson.
All right,
and
man. Let's
let's
ride off
the whole episode, so now the audio is going to be terrible. Oh
yeah,
my
I
god,
know.
I'm not sleeping tonight.
You did a horrendous job today, man. But
Oh
we
my
didn't
God.
even notice. You just like telling us how there's weird fingers in the sausage, but we're already eating the hot dog in between a couple of buns. We don't even know, man. So don't even worry about it.
All right, Matt's gonna go get some sleep. You guys have a nice night, and then we'll join you all on Twitter for
USA. I don't really care. Canada.
You know, we're getting that snowstorm like early in the morning, so I gotta wake up and get in my car and be on the way to Detroit. So my over hour drive, I want to be on.
Matt, you're making this episode take even longer.
All right, no, you're right. All right, bye everybody. Moritz Seider for the Calder.
Matt has a terrible drive. Oh, we got it. Anyway, USA.
Cherry Coke.
Cherry Coke.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.